Hi everyone, it's Nick. Welcome back to my channel. Okay, in this video today, we are going to be talking about interior design mistakes that people make around the holidays that make their place look cheap and tacky. Now listen, I'm gonna be accused of being a little bit of a Grinch here for a minute, and that's fine. I wear it with a badge of honor. I'm not saying I completely hate a cheesy Christmas moment, okay? I think they can be fun. I just think there is so much time, money, and stuff that that is being spent on all this crap, and I just think we can do better. You can do better. And listen, if you're a person who is easily offended, go for it. I don't really care. You're welcome to be offended. But I will say, just remember, I'm not making fun of you as a person, right? I don't make fun of a person because of their race or their gender or anything. But if a person slips in mud and falls, that's funny, okay? It's what they do that's funny, not who they are. So there's a difference. So let's talk about cheap and tacky things that you might be doing in your home. And we're going to talk to you about it, okay? I'm gonna give you some advice. So let's get going. Okay, but before I get to tacky Christmas, I wanna talk about something that's not tacky, which is beautiful, timeless, wonderful watches from today's sponsor, which is Holzkern, because Christmas is coming and every man needs a nice, lovely dress watch, and women, of course. But for me, I need a fancy dress watch. So if you're not familiar with Holzkern, they are a family business based out of Austria, and they produce lots of amazing, beautiful watches for men and women using natural materials, which is awesome. This one I have here is called the Milestones watch. This one is fantastic. It's got this gorgeous brown leather strap, as well as sort of a rose gold finish, and this like iridescent nacre, which is like mother of pearl basically, and it's just got this really amazing iridescent finish. I just love that it gives it a little bit of shimmer, and it's kind of special, right? Like, you don't expect to see mother of pearl in a watch, but at least for most men's watches, but it really sort of, I hate the word elevate, but I'm gonna use it, okay? It elevates it quite a bit, and I just love it. So all of Holzkern's pieces are made in small batches and from really high quality natural materials, ensuring exceptional quality and ethical production. Plus each piece comes with a 2-year guarantee. So click on the link in the description or down in the pinned comment to get up to 30% off until December 1st. So you want to act quickly. 'Tis the season, of course. They've got great deals that are happening right now over there on Holzkern, so feel free to click on those links. And thank you, Holzkern, for sponsoring this video. Now let's get back to tacky Christmas. Okay, holiday design mistake making your house look cheap and tacky is going to be over decorating every surface. Okay, so we need to edit. Okay, we need to edit. That's what we need to do, because here's what I think people do. I do believe that there's a lot of cozy things in your home. I just did a video on this. There's a lot of cozy things in your home that you could, like lights and lamps and candles and throws and pillows, that are wonderful and make sense all year round, that can be incorporated into your Christmas decor. So I don't necessarily think you need to wholesale change your entire house and bring out all the old stuff and bring in all the cheesy Christmas crap. But I do think that if you are bringing in a lot of stuff that's specific to the holidays, that you only bring in for 2 months out of the year, you're gonna need to edit first, okay? Because what people tend to do is they've got a nice bar console that looks great, and they've got some books on there, some candles, what have you, and then they go like, okay, cool, now I'm gonna add the Santa and the snowman and the little Christmas tree, and we're gonna run a whole bunch of lights around it. And then why does it not look great? And you're like, because you didn't edit, okay? You added 3 times more crap to it, but you didn't take anything away. And I think that's really key to the holiday decorating, is to edit. If you're gonna be adding, you also need to take it away. And I think that's what people miss. They end up just piling a whole bunch of stuff on. And I think, as I said, I think half the stuff should just be stuff that you have all year. Because if a throw is beautiful in March, it's also great in December. You don't need to swap out a perfectly wonderful throw for a snowman throw if you don't want to. You can just use a nice, beautiful plaid throw that's great all year. But if you are gonna put in a Christmas throw, then you do have to take away another throw. You can't just have 6 throws because you just choose to keep adding on, right? So edit. That's going to be really key. When it's cheap and tacky, it's because you got way too much crap on there and it just looks like a cluttered mess. And I hear you, I get it, I know you love it, but I think it's time for some tough love. I think if you're going to insist on adding in a truckload of Christmas stuff around the holidays on November 1st, I think you also need to accept the fact that a lot of it also needs to go away first. Okay, next on my list, and like, I'm gonna get a lot of flack for this. I can tell you that right now. And that's gonna be too many colors. Okay, now I will admit, a part of me is very nostalgic for like the Christmas lights that were all multicolored and whatever. And I'm not just saying you need to just pick a warm white, even though I think I have many times said you should just pick a warm white when it comes to your lighting. But I would still say that a lot of people, I'm just gonna say, if you want a beautiful, well-designed, like picturesque, you know, House and Home Architectural Digest magazine situation for your own home, you're gonna have to commit to a color palette. Okay, you're gonna have to pick a color palette, and that's just the truth of it. And that's true for design all year, and it's true for Christmas as well. Now, luckily for you, the holidays do have particular color schemes, right? You got the blue and the white, you got the red and the green, you got the metallics, you got the all white, whatever. Like, people have their own thing, the red and whites, like people have their own color scheme that kind of is built into the theme of Christmas and holidays. But I still would say that some of you don't edit enough and you're just not specific enough with the color schemes that you're going with. So I think that, you know, like my color scheme, when I added in a color, like it was a big deal. I had to think a lot about it because I was like, am I ready to commit to a different color? Because, you know, you do kind of have to commit to one. Color is just one of those things that really helps tie the eye together and see the space as sort of one cohesive space, right? So having a curated color palette, which I have talked about at length on this channel for every other day of the year, is also true around the holidays. And I just think some people have this cacophony of color. I know cacophony means sound, but it applies here, okay? A cacophony of color in your home, and therefore it just is overwhelming to the senses. It doesn't feel particularly cohesive, and it just doesn't really make sense. Now, that doesn't mean you just need to commit to the exact same red and green, okay? You can get creative with your color palette, feel free. So throw some metallics in there, right? Throw some neutrals in there, and work with the color palette that you already have with your space year round. I think that's also wonderful, and incorporate that into your space for the rest of the year. So, you know, if you've got a lot of blue or white or whatever, or green in your home already, if you really love those cooler colors, then when you're adding in Christmas decor, holiday decor, I also would recommend being consistent with your palette through the rest of the space as well. Now, I know I'm nostalgic, as I said, for all those different multicolored things as well, because I also am a child of the 80s and 90s, but, you know, you might want to maybe consider to be a little bit tighter with your color scheme for this year. Okay, next on my list, and I'm just gonna say it because, well, I'm sorry, but it just makes sense, and that is gonna be cheap and gimmicky decorations, right? These are not, again, please see disclaimer at the beginning of the video. I'm obviously a Grinch. If it brings you joy, then bring it in, okay? If you love it, fine. You know, like I remember when I was a kid, I loved when the little snowman came out and he played the little Christmas carols. I loved, you know, we had a Christmas tree that was made in the 1960s or 70s, made of tuna fish cans, like with the little white cotton balls of snow. Like, I get it. Get it, it's fun. If you love it, use it. Don't listen to any of this video for all I care, but I will still say that since you clicked on the video, you therefore get my opinion, and that is that if you don't want your place to look cheap and tacky, don't use cheap and tacky items. Okay, so a lot of the decorations are over the top cheesy and low, obviously low quality. Like, do I need to talk about the inflatables? Like, if you're a person, because I'm not gonna change your mind. If you love a 30-foot gingerbread man inflatable in your front lawn from Home Depot or Costco, I'm not for you, okay? But the thing is that I think you just need to accept that it is cheap and tacky, and that is just the reality of it. It's made of plastic. It looks like, have you ever walked your neighborhood around the holidays at like 1 in the morning and like everybody has turned off all their lights, and so all the inflatables have come back down to earth, and it's quite a sad graveyard? You know, these things are not high quality pieces. These are not gorgeous, timeless materials. These are plastic and air, usually in some sort of cheesy, you know, inflatable moment, like Santa with a palm tree or like what have you, right? And I know people love it and it brings them joy, and obviously I'm just gonna crap on that, but I would still say that if you're looking for something a little bit more timeless, use some more quality materials like wood or whatever that are going to make sense, that they're just always going to be beautiful and make sense for the rest of time. So, you know, I think this is sort of self-explanatory, but nobody else is getting the memo. So obviously you all love this stuff, and that's totally fine. I'm just gonna, you guys are always gonna put it in your home, and I'm always gonna be here to make fun of it. So as the world turns, you know what I mean? This is just what's going to be the case. But I'm going to leave you with this. If it brings you joy, put it in. But if you don't want your place to look cheap and tacky, don't use cheap and tacky things. Okay, next up. This one, you know, less of a hot take. This one I more firmly stand. Oh, I stand by the last piece of advice as well. I just know you guys will ignore it. But this one you might not want to ignore, and that is going to be, it's a mistake to ignore scale and proportion, okay? If it doesn't, if you can't comfortably put the star on the top of your tree, or the angel, because those are your options, right? If you can't put it on your tree's too tall. Okay, it's too big. If it's too big that it takes up like a third of the room, or people can't maneuver around the Christmas tree, it's too big. If it's also simultaneously sad and pathetic and falling over and looks like two twigs. I don't love the Scandi tree necessarily. The Scandi tree, Charlie Brown, sad Christmas tree trend. I don't love that either. But I do find a lot of just those little droopy trees, like those ones are also ignoring scale and proportion because oftentimes those are incredibly undersized and it just looks a little bit silly. Like it doesn't trick our eye. The eye looks at that and thinks, I want that tree to be bigger. You know, I want that tree to be smaller. I want that tree to make sense for the space for the living room that you have in your home. If you've got double height ceilings and a massive living room, go ahead, go cut down a tree in the forest and get some giant tree in there for all I care. But if you live in an apartment and you've got a little tiny little space for your tree, get an appropriately sized tree. Get a tree for the space that you have, not the space that you want. And that's classic. It's advice I use for everything, but it's also true for a Christmas tree. And just true for all Christmas decorations in general. If your place is too overstuffed, if it's too crowded, and if you've got things that are just way too big or way too small in your space, it's not gonna look great. It's not gonna trick the eye. It'll always feel off and it will never look good. And in my opinion, will always make a space feel a little bit cheap and tacky. I'm also gonna really quickly shout out those like oversized baubles on people's Christmas tree. Like scale your ornaments. I'm not a Christmas tree ornament like guru. Like there's people on the internet that can tell you a lot more about how to decorate a tree because they're obsessive. That's probably not me. But like I will say that when these giant baubles that are huge, like the size of soccer balls on these tiny little trees, get ornaments that are in different shapes. Heterogeneity is important here. So different shapes and sizes and colors and textures and metallics in there and maybe some glass. Like, have fun with it, right? That's coordinated and cohesive, but it's got a lot of things going on. But just make sure everything is scaled appropriately to each other and also the size of the tree, which also again should be scaled to the room. Okay, and then next up on my list is going to be hanging lights haphazardly. Okay, you know, we see you with like the one little string of lights that are on your balcony or whatever. And listen, there's nothing wrong with one honest string, I will say. Don't let anybody really shame you. Like, I know you want to do more, but this is what you have and damn it, that's all you can do and that's fine. But make sure it's straight. Make sure it's like, you don't have a whole bunch that are burnt out, right? No, the droopy, sad ones, you know what I'm talking about? Like those ones I think are making your place look cheap and tacky. Like have the right number of lights that make sense for you, your budget, your space, your whatever, but make sure they're done right. The ones that are really droopy and hanging and barely clinging on to the side of your home or your balcony or something, those just aren't working. I don't think those are gonna make a whole lot of sense for you. You need to make sure that if you're gonna do it, you're gonna do it right. And make sure that they are tight and taut and everything is put where it's supposed to be and not sad and draping all over the place. Because that, unless it's intentional, but it's not, we all know because we've seen your house. And I think that you might wanna just tighten those up a little bit. It's just that little bit, even if you invest in some great, beautiful, wonderful lights, if they're droopy and dangly all over the place and obviously not done properly, it's gonna make your place look cheap and tacky. I think at its best, what's really lovely, and this goes for indoor and outdoor, is layering those lights in. You know, I talked to you a lot about layer lighting all year round. And I think it's also especially important here in the holidays. Yes, you're probably gonna have some additional lights for the holiday because you've got the Christmas tree, or maybe you've got some, you know, a little Christmas village that you've done for yourself, or maybe you've got some, you know, hanging in some garlands or something, right? That you probably have additional lights, but the same rules of design still apply. I still think that it's worth investing in beautiful table lamps and sconces and other sorts of lights that you can have, like lights like that you might have over top of counters or under the toe kick in a kitchen, for example. Like all that light is also doing a really great job of layering into your space to make it feel really beautiful and wonderful all year round. And then you continue to layer in some of those lights in a very clear, defined way that is going to add to the rest of your space. So most of the lights are just going to be stuff you have all the time. Those rules for the rest of the year still apply, especially in those kind of cozy winter evenings that you're going to want some of that nice, beautiful, warm light. But if you want to start adding in additional lights, do it with intention and do it right, and not ones that are draping and drooping and all the rest of it, because we don't want those, right? So make sure they are intentional, meaningful, and done properly and not sad. And that's what we're looking for to make sure that it doesn't look cheap and tacky. Okay, that's it for me for today, you guys. I hope you really enjoyed this video. And as always, please don't take offense. Or if you do take offense, move on with your life, because this doesn't really matter all that much. And I hope you really enjoyed this video, and go ahead and see the other one. I've got lots of holiday content on the channel for you to go check out, and I will see you all in that video. Okay, thanks. Bye.